welcome everybody. I'm Rose Smith from AbsoluteSoulSecrets.com. I've got the January 2024 horoscope. So first I'll do this little introduction and then you might click on the links below for your individual star sign. So best to look at your sun sign, your moon sign and your rising sign. That gives you a full up picture of what the month is likely to bring. What I'm going to do is there's 3 important conjunctions, but I haven't mentioned them in the individual star signs. I'm going to talk about them now in this intro. So just before I do that, I'll say also, if you could leave a like and a comment, that would be fabulous, or share on your socials. And don't forget to subscribe and be alive if you find this video useful. So now let's have a look and see what we come up with. The first thing to note is that Chiron is conjunct the North Node from the 1st of January. It's Chiron 15 degrees 28 minutes in Aries, conjunct the North Node 20 degrees and 50 minutes in Aries. This brings forth a lot of energy for healing, the wounded healer. You could be wounded in some way, and this month you may become more aware of how you can heal yourself. The energy's there, so I would say go for it. The next one I want to talk about is Black Moon Lilith conjunct the Moon, both in Virgo. Black Moon Lilith is 10 degrees and 4 minutes, conjuncting the Moon at 15 degrees and 26 minutes in Virgo. This could bring up some really intense primal instincts on the 1st of the month, but probably only for a few hours because the moon moves very quickly. But it would be great if you could take note if you have sort of really intense feelings coming up. And particularly an instinct doesn't often have logic attached to it, so it might seem illogical, your feelings at the time, but you might feel almost driven to do something. So I would say write it all down and maybe wait till another day to see how you feel, because like I said, it won't be for very long and then the moon will be gone. The other conjunction to note is that Mercury is conjunct Mars, conjuncting your MC. So it's a 3-way conjunction. Mercury is 22 degrees 11 minutes in Sag, Mars is 27 degrees and 54 minutes, and your MC is 29 degrees and 59 minutes. So this is likely to bring some pretty dynamic and energetic communications. You might be full of energy and ambition, and it might be something to do with your life mission, your vocation, or maybe even your public image. So you might get this idea on the 1st of the month or around there that you want to further yourself on your path, your life path, and you might come up with some really brilliant ideas about how to do that. Mercury is often full of brilliant ideas, and Mars gives us the energy to proceed forward. All right, other things to note this month. The new moon is in Capricorn on the 11th, and also in Capricorn is Mercury on the 13th, Venus on the 23rd, and Mars on the 4th. So there's a real Capricornian party going on this month. This could bring real physical manifestation to whatever you set your mind on. With Mercury there, again, brilliant ideas and communications. Venus is sometimes to do with relationships, or often to do with relationships. Sometimes she encourages us to spend a lot of money on luxurious items as well, but she likes peace and justice, so that might figure into what's going on here in this Capricornian party. And Mars brings a lot of dynamic energy, sometimes to the point of forcefulness, but once Venus comes in on the 23rd, she's likely to smooth any rough edges from Mars. She'll smooth them off, so you can accomplish great things with an element of elegance and grace, and still have the energy to do it with Mars there. And it's almost like the male and the female energies coming together. So there might be arguments sometimes. People don't realise that sometimes Venus loves luxury and beauty and peace. But yeah, sometimes there might be an element where Venus can influence us to be a bit more aggressive if there's some unfairness or injustice. So just be aware of that. But yeah, you should be able to really accomplish physical things and really get a lot done. Then the next thing to note, full moon on the 25th in Leo, and that's likely to put a spotlight on anything to do with us being in public life, being on stage, or being in the spotlight in some way. Sometimes it can be quite dramatic or theatrical, and it can also highlight ferocity and warmth and gregariousness. These are the sorts of traits that go with Leo. Leo is king of the jungle, so Leo does like to have it done the way that she wants it, and it's hard to argue with Leo because she's in charge. So the full moon could really highlight something like this, especially if you're dealing with another Leo. Then just be aware the full moon in her sign or his sign, it may bring up some disagreements, and they can be very stubborn, so do watch for that. We do have on the 20th of the month the Sun and Pluto going into Aquarius. This is very significant for everybody, obviously, particularly for Aquarius. Sun brings insight, awareness, contentment, peace, and a sense of safety. It's the source of all life, and it's like radiate in happiness type of feeling, so that's really good. So it's likely to bring insight into the transformational processes of Pluto. Pluto is about birth, death, and rebirth, and there is a lot of restructuring and transformation going on with Pluto from the 20th of January to the 1st of September. This is a real taster of what is to come over the next almost 20 years. Pluto was in Aquarius last year for 3 months, and I was watching and waiting, and I just didn't detect or pick up, perceive any difference. So maybe 3 months wasn't quite long enough for me, but certainly I would think from January to September will be. And this will give us an idea of what area of our life is likely to be turned upside down and rebuilt from the bottom up. This is like building a house, but there's an old house that's standing on the block that may need to be demolished, and Pluto will come in and put new foundations in and build a beautiful new house. I do refer to this in your individual horoscope, so check to see which direct area of your life will be affected. Uranus is going direct on the 27th of the month, and many people again won't really perceive this or detect this unless you have some unusual dreams and you have maybe some unpredictable things happening. Then you'll know that Uranus is having some sort of effect on you. It has a very elliptical orbit. It's quite unpredictable. When thousands of years ago, when astrology started, somewhere between 8,000 years ago, whatever it was, they could not see Uranus, obviously, because it's way out there past the Kuiper Belt, with the transpersonal planets Neptune and Pluto are the other two. And they're so far away they couldn't be seen until relatively recently. And because of this, the ancients didn't know that there was such an elliptical orbit, but they were spot on in associating unpredictability, volatility, and all manner of strange things happening, and associating that with those things with Uranus. So it's not always unpleasant. Sometimes it's just freaky things that happen that you just shake your head and say, what are the chances that would happen? That can be Uranus. Thanks so much. And now don't forget to click on your sun sign, your moon sign, and also your rising sign. I'll see you all again soon. Thanks and bye for now. Hello and welcome everybody. I'm Rose Smith from AbsoluteSoulSecrets.com. Thank you so much for joining me for the awesome Aries January 2024 horoscope. There's a few things happening. We've got Uranus turning direct and also Mercury turning direct on the first day of the year, 1st of January. So this is really an exciting or a positive omen to start the year. But first, what we're going to do is draw 2 tarot cards as theme cards for the month for you. So let's go to the board right now. There's your horoscope. We'll do these cards firstly. So, Aries, I'm just closing my eyes. A sewing machine is what I can see. Stitching. You of course could be doing this, sewing, but it means in spiritual language, if you like, or symbolic language, it means that you're probably repairing something, fixing something up. It could be to do with your identity or your appearance, perhaps. I'm thinking of making clothes and things like that, which is all about appearance and identity. And also the fact that you have Chiron here in your sign, and this house here, part of the associations that go with the first house are identity and appearance. Chiron is the wounded healer, which is about healing those parts of yourself that you show to the world. And it's also conjunct the North Node, which is basically about your destiny. And it's like your future destiny is calling you forward to heal those parts of yourself that were perhaps injured during childhood, because this house is being laid down very substantially in your childhood. I hope that makes sense. All right, so the card that comes out for you, awesome Aries, is the Two of Cups. This has been coming out a fair bit lately, and it is a type of healing. You see the snake, 2 snakes here. Interestingly, we've just been through a very bad storm, a sort of cyclone actually, really. And there's a snake down in my power box. So how's that for symbolism? A snake. Transformation is what snakes stand for. And in the old days, before I was born, I'm talking about maybe the 1600s, they did this thing called a hand fast instead of actually, when marriage wasn't that popular, it was more or less royals or nobles that married to make alliances with other families or other countries perhaps. But what the regular people did was a hand fast. So this was a public event to say that you were going to live with somebody for a given amount of time, or maybe until the rest of your lives, whatever you chose. But a year was a common term that you could live with somebody as a hand-fasted marriage, if you like. And what that's about is integrating the energies. It's a union. It's a sign of bringing those opposite energies that are reflected here in the glasses, the wine glasses, bringing them together into your own personality. So it makes you more powerful and more in control of your life. The angels are looking out over all of this. So it's a minor arcana, so it's not of huge significance, but it's probably enough to make you smile and realise that in January things are starting to go your way. So the second half of the month, what do I see? A road straight in front of me. Now there is a collapse in the road and water running through. So over the month of January, everything's going plain sailing, and then all of this emotion comes through and sort of cuts that in half. But you'll find a way over that. You can build a bridge, and this is about bridge building. The Two of Cups also bringing those opposites together. You'll find that you're on the opposite bank to where you want to be, and you'll build a bridge and get over it. So the card that comes out is the Hierophant card, a major arcana. The effects of this card will last for some considerable period, probably months. It's basically saying that you've got a lot of knowledge, and what have you been doing with your knowledge? Have you been sitting on it? Have you been using it? Or are you actually ready to share your knowledge with the world? There could be some spiritual beliefs involved in this, and concern for other people. So it's a very positive card. You see here the Book of Life. When we all come to this planet, we have like a book called the Book of Life. In this book, it lists out all of the destined and karmic things that will happen in our Book of Life. Once you start to get in the groove, and as you're evolving, you'll become more and more aware of this book. And sometimes I've dreamt, for example, in mine, I've opened pages and I see all the text. Unfortunately, mine's often written in symbols, so I can't always understand it, but I see all of the text disappearing, and that's like, when that happens, you can write your own ticket. That karma's not going to affect you. You can decide clearly and cleanly what you want to do with your life. And for that, you need these two keys, knowledge and wisdom, because you need to know how to best apply the knowledge. Knowledge for itself is fine, but if you don't use it and share it, it's sort of doesn't really help anybody, does it? So that's what I would say. Share your knowledge. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make this a bit bigger, and we're going to look at your horoscope in depth. Already, just on cursory glance, you can see all of the activity is happening up in the top of the chart. This is the public area of your life, so it could be to do with career or with life mission. You may not necessarily have a career, as in a paid career, but you still may have a vocation, which is a life mission. And we all, in fact, have a life mission that is contained in our Book of Life here. So you can see this is the area that's going to really take off in January. First thing to note is the new moon. Now, this is not in date order. I started putting it in date order and then it got all mucked up. Sorry about that. New moon in Capricorn on the 11th, bringing a new start to your public life, your career, your life mission, but also to do with authority figures. So those authority figures, like maybe employers or perhaps parents or those people that you look up to. There's a new beginning. If you haven't had a very good relationship with a parent, particularly your mother, because this house here traditionally relates to the mother, but these days with all the role sharing, it may be the father. And with the new beginning there of the solar eclipse in Capricorn, there's going to be real physical, grounded, practical things, manifestations that come out of this over the next 6 months. The full moon is in Leo on the 25th of January, and this brings a shake-up. The moon is shining a spotlight onto your creativity, also onto any areas like where children are involved, particularly your inner child. We all have an inner child, and that's usually the part of us that is not like the adult. That is the part of us that inspires us, gives us our creativity, can also be very upset or hurt if something happened when you were a child, or angry even, perhaps. But that part of you that gives a sense of awe or excitement. So we really need to stay in touch with our inner child. It's quite important. It's great for having a look at romance. If you've got any romances on the go, there could be a real focus on that around the 25th with the full moon. The good news is Mercury is turning direct on the 1st of January. And I say it's good news because it's been retrograde, and to start the first day of the year, the first day of the month with it turning direct, it's a good omen for clear communications and for brilliant flashes of insight. It's here in your 9th house of the higher mind, so you could really have double the brilliant flashes that you normally do. Also, foreign countries could be involved, or re-education, formal study, something to do with how you think and the mental realms, your spirituality. You may become more interested in philosophy, for example, or foreign people. Then Mercury moves into Capricorn on the 13th here, bringing again lots of communications to this party going on in your 10th house of career and life vocation. and brilliant ideas with that. The Sun is also there until the 20th when it moves into Aquarius, and also Pluto will be moving into Aquarius on the same day, the 20th. And this is for you, Aries. This is a lot about your friends, your groups, your connections, a lot of insight and awareness coming to you, and you will undergo a fundamental restructuring of friends and groups, but also your hopes and dreams that start this month. And Pluto is here until September 1, I think it is, and then it goes back into Capricorn just for 10 weeks or so, and then in November 19th, it's back here again until 2043. So you're going to go through a fundamental restructuring of all your friendships, your connections, associates, the groups of people that you mix with are going to fundamentally change. I think it's very exciting. So there's some sort of rebirth there. It could be also that people that you used to know you reconnect with, and they have a very important effect on your life. Maybe people you used to go to school with, for example. Then we have Venus going into Capricorn on the 23rd here, right here. And Venus brings a beautiful, polite, courteous, diplomatic energy to all of your communications and anything to do with career, authority figures, and also to do with status and your public life. So this could involve social media. So you could appear quite beautiful on social media, and even if you don't think you're physically beautiful, that's not what Venus is necessarily about, because Venus can be the beauty within. She shows the beauty within. So that's the important thing these days, is too much emphasis put on physical appearance and not enough emphasis put on what's inside, because people basically take shortcuts and just judge on appearance. It's not a good idea, but that's the way the world is. I already talked about Uranus going direct just briefly. That's on the 21st of January here in your house of, and now it's rolling forward again. You probably won't feel it unless you are psychic or maybe clairvoyant, because as one of those transpersonal planets, they sort of hum along in the background. And it does go retrograde every year, so just to let you surprises, sometimes they're positive and sometimes they're not. But this could be to do with your money, your possessions, or the things that you value, whatever you think is important and valuable in your life. You might find that changing over time, and it could be that things that you used to think were important, you decide is not that important after all. And finally, the very thing that should have been first, your ruler Mars goes into Capricorn here as well on the 4th. So that sort of sets you up for the month of real focused energy into your career and public life. So that's going to bring a sense of ambition, drive. You're going to really sort of probably want to move forward in career, or deciding like, why am I here? What's my direction in life? What am I supposed to be doing? And it will come clear over time. You can send out messages to the universe and say, Spirit, tell me what I'm supposed to do, or something simple. It doesn't have to be long and convoluted, just something simple, and then they'll start leaving breadcrumb trails for you to pick up and to follow. So that's it. Awesome, Aries. Thank you so much for watching. I just want to wish you a very happy new year. We're about to go into a new phase, a new existence this year. Thanks so much for all your support during 2023 as well. I'll see you all again soon. Leave a like and a comment. That would be fabulous, and share on your socials. Don't forget to subscribe as well. That would be great. Thanks again. I'll see you all soon. Bye for now. Hello and welcome everybody. I'm Rose Smith from AbsoluteSoulSecrets.com, and I've got the terrific Taurus January 2024 horoscope. Happy New Year to everyone. Let's go to the board now. There are some exciting things happening for you, Taurus. But first, what we'll do is draw 2 tarot cards as theme cards for this month, January 2024. What am I seeing? Right, it strikes me that you may have been through a bit of a difficult time, especially in recent months. There could have been a few tears shed, or maybe you felt a bit sad about something. However, it's time to put the boxes of tissues away because there are other exciting things on the agenda coming up for you in January. The card that comes out is the 2 of Cups. This card keeps coming out, so it's quite amazing. I reckon I've drawn it about 6 times in the last week or so, all the live streams I've been doing. It's all about healing. It's all about coming together with an energy that is opposite to you in some way. Maybe there's been a relationship with somebody and it's been off and on, or it's been turbulent or very difficult. But however, the 2 snakes here do give the energy for healing, and sometimes snakes bite you. And it's interesting, this morning I opened my power box. We've just been through a terrible time in Queensland with really bad storms, and we had a cyclone is what I'm calling it, but it wasn't classified as a cyclone technically, but it was certainly like a cyclone. I opened my power box this morning because there's no power, and anyway, there's a snake in the power box. So this card keeps coming up. It's all about snakes. It's transformation, and healing is coming to you. The angels are watching out for you, and this opposite energy that you just haven't been able to get where you want to with this energy is coming into your personality and it'll make you more powerful. In short, cut a long story short, it'll make you more powerful. The other person, if there is another person, sometimes it's a thing like a job even, the other partner, party, whatever you want to call it, is just a reflection of what's really in your subconscious, and they're showing you through their actions that this energy is in you. So it's coming up and it's coming into your personality. So it's really good news, really healing news. Let's look at the second half of the month for you, Taurus. What do I see? I don't know what this is, a drum going around, spinning around, and it's just going like this. Sometimes you might feel like you're going in circles. However, circles are also another symbol of completion. This card is a symbol that things are coming together, and then we have this picture of a circle going around and around, spinning. A bit volatile it is. There's a picture here, I don't know what it is, something to do with hands, leather straps and fingers, leather straps around your fingers. I don't know, maybe you feel like your hands are tied in some way. There might be a little game going on here and you're a participant in a game. Do you want to be there? It's up to you. The card that comes out is the 8 of Pentacles. This is fabulous. It is about your career, your work, what you do to get money. And it's basically saying if you can work with an element of creativity and spirituality, because even though this is Pentacles and it's about money, there's still an element of spirituality and creativity here, especially working with your hands, even if that's typing, for example, in these modern days. But you can be justly rewarded for the work that you do, and you can, if you're diligent, you can do really good work, you'll be justly rewarded. So there's something there about your finances improving. When we actually look at your horoscope here, we see the shared finances. There's a fair bit going on, and we have Mars, Mercury and Venus, but they're all leaving this house soon, and they're going into the next house, which is going to make your life much bigger, and there's a lot more energy going into your house of the higher mind. So firstly, the new moon is going into Capricorn on the 11th, bringing a new beginning to your house of the higher mind. So there's a real party going on here. with a lot of activity. You could be thinking about retraining or learning something, and it could even be formalised study, maybe even a university or a technical college or something. A course which is very scheduled and formalised could be on the agenda, but also your spirituality, any connections with overseas. You may find that overseas connections really start to take off this month. There's also a full moon in Leo on the 25th of the month here in your house of home and family. And it's like a spotlight is being shone here because there's some issues around house and family that you need to deal with. Perhaps you need to deal with them in concert with what's going on here in your house of the higher mind, because the full moon will come in and at some point it's going to be opposite some of these planets and or your MC, so there could be a few challenges around that. Mercury's turning direct on the 1st of January, however. This is good news because you're starting a new year and a new month with a planet that was retrograde, causing a bit of problems, no doubt. It's now moving forward again from the 1st. There is a shadow period of about 7 days, so it doesn't mean it's all over Red Rover, but it does mean that gradually the retrograde energy recedes and you'll feel like you're moving forward in life again. We have Mercury going into Capricorn on the 13th. Here in my expertly drawn glyph of Mercury, also joining the higher mind party here. Lots of brilliant ideas, lots of communications going on. Then we have the Sun and Pluto going into Aquarius on the same day, the 20th of the month. This is great news. It brings insight and awareness as things are being fundamentally restructured. There's a lot of transformation going on to do with career. You could change your job, you could change your career and go into something entirely different, or maybe even something that you used to do, because Pluto is often about rebirth. So you may have had a previous career that sort of died. It went away and you did something else and now it's coming back to you in a new form. That's quite possible. Pluto is about birth, death and rebirth. So something can be reborn to do with your public life, your career, your mission in life, your vocation, or maybe even to do with authority figures such as a parent, particularly the mother, because this house, the 10th house, is traditionally associated with the mother. But nowadays, of course, there's a lot of role reversals and changes, so sometimes it's the father. So it depends who's doing what, but it was the mother traditionally. So Pluto and the Sun there is that is quite a good omen. The Sun is really giving you insight and really enlightening you. The Sun, of course, travels much quicker in the chart than Pluto does. Pluto only moves about 1 to 1.5 degrees per year, so it's going to be right here on the borderline of your 9th house all year pretty well, and the Sun's going to shoot through there fairly quickly. So but while it's there, it's going to give you a really great eye-opener as to what's really going on. Venus is going into Capricorn on the 20th here as well, joining this party. The other thing to note is Venus is not going retrograde this year. It's certainly not going retrograde this month. So it could bring in Capricorn really physical results that can be manifested here on Earth in a real life situation. And you might find there's a lot of courtesy, politeness and balance concerning any training you do, any education, any connections with other countries or with foreign people, and with your spirituality as well. Uranus is going direct on the 27th of the 1st. Most people won't really notice this. It is here in your first house, so you could be quite surprising to other people. They might perceive you as being surprising or even unpredictable. You might also be perceived as understanding a lot about science or technology in comparison to them, for example. And then we have Mars also going into Capricorn. I've put it right down the bottom, should be up the top. That's on the 4th. That's up here. That's going to give you a lot of drive and ambition and energy with all of your overseas projects or whatever it is you're doing with foreign people. Also with any spiritual projects you might be undertaking, or maybe even philosophy might become more interesting to you. As the house of the higher mind, it's the big picture items that you're looking at rather than the little details. So that's it. Terrific, Taurus. It's quite an exciting month for you. You should get a sense of moving ahead and accomplishing something in January 2024. Thank you so much for listening, and a very happy new year to all. I just want to wish you the very best for 2024. It's certainly going to be a big year for many people. Thanks so much. Leave a comment and a like. That'd be fabulous. And don't forget to subscribe if you're if you haven't subscribed yet. Thanks again, and bye for now. Hello and welcome, gorgeous Gemini. I've got your January 2024 horoscope. We've got some good news for you because your ruler Mercury is turning direct on the 1st. So you might have a sense of your life surging forward. Maybe there's been some delays or some hiccups with things you really wanted to get on with, and now finally you can move forward. So it's a great way to start the new year and the new month, with Mercury turning direct on the 1st. Let's go to your horoscope, but first we're going to draw 2 cards for you as theme cards for the month. What do I see focusing? Oh, the focus is right on Venus. I can see the Venus glyph, particularly the cross on the bottom. So here is the Venus. Oh, I'll put that up like that. There is the Venus glyph, and you see that cross on the bottom. That's what I'm seeing in spirit. Sometimes a cross can represent sacrifice. So Venus is very strongly associated with relationships. Just be cautious, dear Gemini, that you don't compromise yourself too much in relationships. And for 2024, that is a theme for many people, is that it's this compromise in relationships versus independence and autonomy. So we've all got to watch that. But Venus won't be going retrograde this year, so relationships don't get that usual slowdown this year. So the card that comes out is the 4 of Pentacles. This is about your money. It could be a sense of slowing down with money, or maybe some difficulty around money, because look at these sheer cliffs. However, at the back of her, and you'll know if you've ever done bushwalking or anything, when you have these sorts of structures in nature, there's often like a windy path through the bottom. So yeah, it might be a little bit convoluted. It might not necessarily be straight going, but there is a way around this. So don't be too concerned. Also, it's easy to fall into the trap when you don't have much money of looking at other people that seem to have money, because a lot of people like to show that they've got money but they really don't have money, and then being overly impressed with wealth. Wealth is really worth nothing when you leave this planet. So, but of course it's a matter of where you're at in life as to how you feel about it. But yeah, just don't fall into that trap of being overly impressed with money, and because then that can lead some people to associate their identity with money, and then of course when you finally leave here, then it's quite a shock so to find out that money's worthless on the other side. There's a way through any financial difficulty that you may be suffering, and it's only for a time. There's a path that will lead you out. All right, the second half of the month, what do I see for you, gorgeous Gemini? Something about counting, but this is piano keys, counting piano keys. Hey, I did study music decades ago, but I don't know what that could possibly mean. Usually when I see music, it's like the music of your life, be you being the composer, you being the musician or the singer, singing those notes yourself. So it's about stepping up and taking more control of your life. The card that comes out is the Wheel of Fortune, basically telling you that everything changes, that no matter what situation you're in now, change is always possible and in fact cannot be avoided. And we have so many really strong things happening this year astrologically. It will be the reverse problem. Most people won't be able to handle a change, and already if you're sensitive you'll be feeling it. I've noticed I never used to get headaches like in my whole life up until recently. I had about maybe 3 migraines in my whole entire life, and now I'm just getting headaches on a regular basis, and I think it's to do with the amount of change that we all have to process. So it's a lot to think about. So this is a major arcana card, and it's saying that the cycles around you are changing, the Wheel of Fortune. So even if you think you're stuck in a situation, you're not actually stuck at all. Let's have a look. We're going to make this bigger like that. Bear these 2 cards in mind. Most of the focus is here on the western side of your chart. That is sometimes about things passing away or sort of like coming to an end, so that there's new beginnings coming. If you think of east, this is the east here, the horizon where the sun comes up and the sun sets here. And if you look at it in that way, it means that we're in the night time now before the new day comes. The new day is coming for you. The new moon is in Capricorn on the 11th here, bringing a whole lot of energy, planetary energy and new beginnings to your shared resources. These are the resources you share not only with other people, but it might be with governments or companies, or somebody owes you money or something like that. It's also taxation, inheritance and wills. And there's a lot of activity happening there in January, and there's some new beginning, a new cycle. So that might well help with this 4 of Pentacles energy at the beginning of the month. The full moon is down here, focusing, shining a spotlight onto your communications, your community, your local area. And sometimes it's a bit of a shake-up, can be a little bit turbulent. Also to do with distant family members, cousins, siblings that are away or you haven't had much contact with. And it also suggests that there's a fair bit of activity like around your community, or maybe you're paying bills, you've got bills to pay, you're shuffling bits of paper, and there's transactions basically, so your focus is on that. Mercury direct on the 1st, I already talked about because that's your ruler. Mars will be going into Capricorn on the 4th, bringing a lot of drive and ambition and energetic energy around these shared resources. It's also intimacy as well. If you're in a relationship, you might find that relationship goes to a deeper level. With Mars, though, it can be abrasive or even rude or aggressive. However, the good news is that Venus is also going in there to smooth things over on the 23rd. So you've got this combo of this real sort of strong, forceful energy, and then the really gentle, smooth, peaceful energy, so that you can work the problems out. You've got the energy to achieve and to work out any potential problems, and Venus will want that. Just of course be careful you don't compromise yourself too much, because Venus tends to over compromise and Mars doesn't compromise. So Mercury's also going in there on the 13th, bringing lots of communications, lots of really brilliant ideas, flashes of insight into this situation. Here, the Sun and Pluto, both on the 20th, are going into Aquarius here. This is your house of the higher mind, and this is going to give you a lot of insightful stability comfort, a security, because maybe you worked a problem out and now you feel much better. So the house of the higher mind can also involve your spirituality. It could be something about learning higher order concepts, retraining or education as well. But with the sun, it's likely to go quite smoothly and you're likely to see things more clearly than you normally would. You've also got your MC in there, which is the midheaven, or medium Coley is the actual name in astrology. And this is about your life mission, what you're supposed to be doing with your life, your vocation. Because this is all happening in Aquarius, it's quite a spiritual sign, but it's a very mental sign in the sense of using a lot of mental energy. It's an air sign, even though the glyph, see the waves here in the glyph, and it's usually a person holding a jar of water, and they're called the water bearer because they're quite emotional, but at the same time they also have this ability to detach and look at things from the higher point of view. And that's what this is all calling you to, looking at the big picture around travel, maybe overseas travel, educating yourself more, philosophy, looking into philosophy, and these really big picture questions about your life. Is your life going the way you want it to go? Then we have Uranus turning direct on the 27th. Here in your subconscious, you could get some sort of surprising messages coming through. Maybe there's a fair bit of volatility in your subconscious. You might notice it in your dreams, the little flashes we all have in the daytime while we're working, especially if you're, say, in the shower or if you're dealing with water. Gorgeous Geminis, washing up, for example, and you don't have much in your head, and you're just doing those sort of domestic tasks, doing them by rote. So your mind just goes blank, and then all of these surprising and unpredictable things could come into your awareness. So write those down. There might be some clues in there for you. They could help you out. And Venus moving into Capricorn, I already mentioned. Here, smoothing all of these turbations out concerning your intimate life, but also those shared assets that you share with somebody else. So that's it, gorgeous Geminis. A few things happening there for you. Things are looking pretty good though, and it looks like you're going to be surging ahead in January more than perhaps you thought. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate that. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment and a like. That would be fabulous. I just want to wish you all a very happy new year and lots of insight as we go into 2024. There's so much happening and really big things that are going to make a lot of difference to our lives. I'll see you all again soon. Thanks and bye for now. Hello and welcome, courageous Cancer. Well, I've got your January 2024 horoscope here. There's a few interesting things happening. Not too much to deal with, thankfully. Let's go to the board now, and I'm going to draw 2 tarot cards as theme cards for you. You can see here's your horoscope, but first the cards. The first card, what do I see? Oh, it could be, excuse me, coughing. It could be a month where you're doing a lot of cleaning up, domestic tasks. I'm just seeing bottles of like detergent and different cleansers there. And I feel like you might just think, well, I can't go out for whatever reason. Maybe the weather's bad or something like that. And I'm just going to get stuck into things at home. So becoming a little bit more of a homebody in January, which will suit you because you love your home and often have a fair bit going on with your family as well. The first card that comes out is the Six of Pentacles. This is all about organising your money. You could be paying bills, doing accounts, doing a lot of paperwork, and just getting things in order, basically. So that's good news. There could be people asking you for money. Maybe these are children, I want to say, or an ex or someone like that. Someone from the past pops up and wants a loan. Just be cautious about that, because they call it a loan but you never get that money back. So if that does happen and you're feeling like you want to give them some money, maybe get an agreement drawn up. And if you've got any legal experience, you might have the nous that you can go online and find an agreement already online, so you don't have to pay anyone to do it. That's something to consider. But this is about you getting organised with your finances, so that's good news. And especially because there is a full moon here in your personal finances. I'll talk more about that in a minute, but that works in with that card perfectly. All right, the second half of the month, what do I see for you? Courageous Cancer. What do I see? Oh, so that's interesting. There is a bag of money here. So yes, you could take that as actual money. It's like those old cream coloured calico bank bags they used to have decades ago. I haven't seen one for that long. That's what it is, full of coin. That certainly means change, but it also means that you have to get your finances in order as well, because you're going to count it and all that sort of thing. The card that comes out is the Chariot. Surge ahead. Take the bull by the horns. Listen to your intuition. So there's two Bast cats here. So they were the familiar of the goddess Bast, and they point directly to intuition and psychic ability. So go for it. Don't hold back and think that you can't do things when you can. Really surge ahead this month. And also the Chariot might be something to do with your car as well. But at the very least, if there's any sort of opposing forces, you'll have victory here. It's a major arcana card. That means that it's pretty important, and the effects of this card could go for months. So let's hold that in our thoughts. Go to the Zoom board, make everything a little bit bigger. All right, Cancer, you'll see a lot of activity over here in the western side of your chart. Can often mean like the sun going down. It's like night time. Maybe you don't have all of your awareness that you would have in the daytime, but you could get a different type of awareness using your intuition and your psychic ability. So it's just because it looks dark doesn't mean that you won't get anything out of it. You can get heaps out of it. This is the eastern side. The sun comes up here and the sun sets here. The new moon is in your house of relationships, suggesting a new beginning. A casual encounter could go much deeper. An existing relationship or partnership could be rejuvenated in some way. There could also be some sort of breakthrough with any legalities you might have. You've got a real party going on here, a ton of energy around your relationships in January, and these are your very significant and important relationships. Also, if there are any frenemies, people that you don't get on with really well, there may be some sort of change there, hopefully for the better, especially with Venus. Will sort them all out in a very beautiful, courteous and polite manner. Mercury is going direct on the 1st of January. This is good news for everyone because it's been retrograde, and now we're starting a new year and a new month with Mercury going direct. There is approximately 7 days of what's called shadow period as the retrograde energy gradually recedes, but it's still a really positive omen to start a new month and a new year. Mars is going into Capricorn on the 4th here, the beginnings of this party, bringing lots of communications and brilliant flashes of insight around your important relationships. Mars, that's Mercury, going into Capricorn. That's on the 13th. Mars is here on the 4th, bringing a lot of energy And just be cautious, there could be a few arguments with Mars. Mars does really enjoy a good argument or two and will prod and keep at it and at it and at it energetically to spark an argument. But Venus is also coming in to smooth the waters on the 23rd. So then you've got Mars and Venus in your relationship house. Hopefully you can work out a compromise. Venus will definitely help you with that. Be careful you don't over-compromise, so you sell yourself short. Venus tends to over-compromise. Mars tends not to compromise enough. So it could be a battle of the sexes here, but there's usually some sort of result that works out. You might not get 100% of what you want, but you'll get something. So that's good news, I think. Then we have the Sun and Pluto moving into Aquarius, both on the same day, the 20th. This is your house of shared resources, but it's also intimacy. So you could have a lot of insight into a very intimate matter, but the Sun normally brings some sort of happiness too. And once you understand what the problem is, you might be able to sort it out. Pluto is sort of like one who tears things down. It's a planet that's quite destructive. So it could be, it's also in charge of births, deaths, and rebirths. So it could be that a situation is torn down in some way so it can be rejuvenated or reborn again. And this is to do with intimacy or any energy that you share with somebody else. So it can be joint resources such as real estate, can be investments, superannuation. You might get a letter from a super company where you put your superannuation. If you're in America, you call it 401k, and they've changed something that you didn't know about. But it might work out actually being better than what you think. So Pluto, births, deaths, and rebirths, all about your finances that you share with somebody else, your money, your investments, being born again in some new way. Then we have Uranus going direct, and that is on the 27th here in Taurus. Uranus in Taurus can affect your money, and this house here is to do with your connections. So again, there might be some sort of money, unusual, surprising issue that comes up with money, new ways to invest. I'm really cautious. Your money, I just think be really, really careful. Be really careful. I know everybody's talking about Bitcoin going to thousands of dollars or whatever. I think, oh yeah, must look at that. I never ever get the energy to do it. And I've been looking at Bitcoin since 2018 and I have never once bought it. And I just can't seem to make myself buy it. I think it's because it's so volatile. I think it's going to be even more volatile in 2024. So please be careful. Uranus loves technology. So it could well be some new investment that is strongly associated with science or technology. And when it turns direct on the 27th, it'll be after that you're likely to hear about it. I did also mention Venus going in and smoothing things out here in your house of relationships, and that's on the 23rd. So after that date would be a great time if you have an important or significant other that you want to bring up something that you want to sort out. So timing is important. If you bring it up when Mars is in there but Venus isn't in there, then Mars is going to give you all this drive here, but it might not give you the result that you want. You need that Venusian energy to really charm the person and to point out what's the fairest thing for both parties, for all concerned. So a month that is highlighting your finances, but also your relationships and the way that you get ahead in life. So thank you very much, Cancer, for watching. I hope this is useful for you. I just want to wish you a very happy new year and a fantastic 2024, full of exciting and surprising opportunities that just come in out of the blue, because that's probably what's going to happen this year. Thanks again. Leave a like and a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. That would be wonderful. I'll see you all again soon, and bye for now. Hello and welcome, lovely Leo. I'm Rose Smith from AbsoluteSoulSecrets.com, and I've got your January 2024 horoscope. Congratulations, you made it to a new year. I know 2023 does feel like it's been rather full on. Let's go to the board now, because I'm going to draw two cards as theme cards, and then we'll have a look at your horoscope in depth. Here we go. Come to this in a moment. The cards, the tarot cards. The first card, the first half of the month, if you like. The vision I'm having, it's a wardrobe. The doors are open, it's full of clothes. Time to have a clothes sort out. Now that might be physical and actual, you need to do that physically. However, on a symbolic level, think about what it means. These are old identifications, these clothes. These are how you used to be in the past. And you might like some of the ways you used to be, and you might not fit into all of the ways you used to be. And there are even better things in the future, so maybe make some space for some new clothes and for a new identity. Interestingly enough, we've got the full moon in your sign, shining a light on your identity and also your autonomy in the world, but I'll talk more about that in a moment. The first card that comes up for you is the Judgment card. So there's some judgments you're going to make in January. It's not a bad thing. The important thing is to realize when you're making a judgment. Get very cluey about when you're making a judgment and there's emotions attached to that, and when you're making an observation, when it's just factual and there's no emotions. And ideally, after you identify that you have these emotions attached to judgments, then you can move more towards observations where it's just factual and there's no emotion attached to it. So often we judge other people, sometimes we judge situations, of course, and most of all we judge ourselves. So this is a real trap job, because often we'll think that we don't deserve any better, that we should have done something better, and we get into a whole mire of emotions that pull us down because we think we're not good enough, basically. We're only humans, and we don't have a manual. We don't have a guidebook to life, unfortunately. So it's just a case of learning as you go, on-the-job training, so to speak. So do become aware of when you're making judgments about your personality, your identity, and your appearance. That's what this full moon is about. It's a major arcana card. It's a lifetime's job to learn about judgments and observations. So this is not going to be read over very quickly. It's going to go on and on. But look at the positive side of it. It's a learning experience, and you'll get better as you go. Just fix your mind on it and make it like a project. Card number 2, the second half of the year. What do I see? There's a door opening here in front of me. I get the American Indian here playing music, doing the chanting. Don't ask me to. I can't do it. And there's some sort of ritual element here. So if you're Americans, particularly, this relates to you. It's probably saying something about reverence for the earth and nature and the environment, and to have some respect, and to maybe follow some of the ways of the American Indian in the past with that reverence. They're showing me, now it's going back further and further and further. It's like a cave with ancient paintings on the cave walls of bison and such like. So I do think it is all about the environment. The environment must be being, I mean, it's the last however many hundred years white people have been there, it's been degraded, and I think that it's going to be increasingly degraded, and I think that's why I'm getting this vision. All right, so we're going to the second card. Here we have the Six of Swords, moving away from a difficult situation and using your brain in order to do it. There's a lot of logic that needs to go with this card, and you'll notice it's nighttime in the background here with the full moon. Or you could even say that was maybe like a star guiding you away from a difficult situation. But it's very important to use logic and move ahead with that. So that's the second half of the second half of the month. I've just done the yearly horoscopes for 2024. I'm still in that mode, obviously. Now I'm going to make this bigger, zoom board like that, and maybe move those. Can't move them too close because we've got a lot of activity here on the western side of your chart. The west usually relates to the ending of something. The east is the beginning of something. So this is the eastern horizon, this is the western horizon, and that sort of relates to this card here about the ending of a difficult situation that you're moving away from. To start the month, I already mentioned Mercury going direct for everybody, so that's bringing clearer communications, brilliant ideas, and you can probably feel a surge in your life, a bit more energy, a bit more moving ahead. There is a T-square here right at the beginning of the month, probably only on the first day of the month. The only reason I mention it is because it is the first day of the month and the first day of the year, so I think it's important, but it's very short-lived, and that is the moon here conjunct. It's a wide conjunction to Lilith in your house of money. On the first day of the year and month, you might be concerned about your money. That might be coming into your thoughts. And we have an opposition here to Neptune. Here, this very spiritual presence in your house of joint resources and also intimacy. Both these planets, the moon if you like, I know it's not thought of as a planet, but in astrology it's classified that way, and Neptune are funneling their energy towards Mercury. So there could be some communications going on that involve maybe children, money, and shared money. So something to think about. Maybe your children are asking you for money perhaps, or you're giving your children money, or assets. So it's not specifically, they could be personal finances, or it could be joint resources, something you share with your children, real estate, investments. Maybe you've got plans for your superannuation and your children or something like that. But communications and fresh ideas are likely. And because it's here in your fifth house, Sagittarius, there's likely to be some brilliant ideas that come, and you can maybe sort out a solution to a problem that might have been in your mind for a fair while. So it's likely just to come into your thoughts on the 1st. On the 4th, we have Mars going into Capricorn up here, and this brings a surge of energy to your everyday life, your routine, your habits, your work, your health and well-being. There's quite a party going on in this area of your life. And Mercury joins on the 13th and Venus joins on the 23rd. We also have this new moon on the 11th here. So all of this energy is going to really get you to do things of an everyday sort of nature, but you can accomplish a lot. You might be cleaning up around your house, you might be doing things at work and getting a lot done at work. You might start to focus more on your health. We're over the Christmas New Year extravaganza with food, and if you're here on the Gold Coast where I am, unfortunately a lot of the Christmas food will be spoilt because we've now up to day, I think today is day 3 with no power. I do have power because I've got a generator, but most people don't have generators. There's 85,000 people still without power here, thanks to the Christmas night psycho storm, I'm calling it. It was like they call it a storm, a severe storm, but look, I've never seen a storm like that. I know I've been through 2 cyclones. It was like a cyclone, honestly. And so there's a lot of activity around your normal everyday life. You could be quite tired. Make sure you don't sort of wear yourself out with all this cleaning and organising in your normal everyday life. That's perhaps something to do with this card, moving away from an unpleasant situation, basically. Now, what else can I tell you? We've got the Sun and Pluto going into Aquarius on the 20th, up here in your house of relationships. These are committed relationships, both personal and business. The Sun is bringing you a lot of stability and insight, awareness, even happiness around your important relationships. And Pluto is bringing some sort of restructure and transformation. You might find, and what happens with Pluto, it will be there until the 1st of September this year. Then it goes back into Capricorn here, have a last little bit of transformation in your everyday life. And then on the 19th of November, it goes back into your house of committed relationships again, and it will stay there until March 2043. So that's nearly 20 years, is a long time, but your significant relationships over that time are really going to be transformed and changed in many, many ways, very potently, very impactfully, especially over such a long time. But you'll get the sense of what that is between 20th of January and 19th of, 1st of September, the start of the changes. So that will sort of give you a hint as to what's going on. And I did also mention Venus going into Capricorn, bringing a beautiful, flowing, courteous, polite energy to all of your communications and your everyday relationships with the normal people that you deal with. We also have Uranus going direct on the 27th, up here in your house of career. There may have been some surprising things happen here in career, and Uranus has been retrograde, so some of those surprises might have been a bit internalized or come out a bit skew, but now it's moving forward. Those of you who are more sensitive might start to feel that there's some unpredictability in your career, or perhaps some volatility in your career. It's not easy to predict. Uranus does what it wants, and we can even see that with the Uranian orbit. It's highly ecliptical, and so the planet doesn't act the way you expect it to act. So quite a fair bit of volatility. Also with authority figures and parents, traditionally the mother, but sometimes these days with role changes it can be the father. So it could be some sort of ruction there. We have Jupiter though, and this is increasing your career zone, and so you may find you've got more work than you can handle, for example, and your career gets bigger in some way. All right, so that's it, lovely Leos, for January. Thank you so much for watching today. Leave a like and a comment and share on your socials. That would be fabulous, and I would really appreciate that. And don't forget to subscribe and be alive. I'll see you all again soon. Thanks, and bye for now. Hello and welcome, Vivacious Virgo. I've got your 2024 horoscope here, and it's important to note that your ruler Mercury is moving forward from the 1st of the month, so it's been retrograde, and you might feel a surge in your life early January as it starts to move away from the retrograde motion that is receding, and it's moving forward. So let's go to the board now. Here we go, and now I'm going to pick two tarot cards as theme cards for the year for you, dear Virgo. And what do I see? There's a door opening up in front of me. There's a hand on the door. It's not your hand, it's a very big hand actually, so it's sort of a spiritual hand into your situation, opening up a new direction perhaps, or a new opportunity. Very big hand here, I can see. The Hierophant comes up. It's about your knowledge. Spirit is encouraging you in January to share your knowledge with wisdom. The two keys in the Book of Life here, knowledge and wisdom, because there's no point, obviously, in sharing knowledge if you don't apply wisdom to the way and how you share it. A lot of action here. She's dressed in red. But it's very important not to sit on your knowledge, but to actually do something with it. Maybe beginning of January, if you're one for making targets and goals, New Year's resolutions, it might be a great idea to try and figure out some ways that you can share your knowledge with the world. The second half of the month, what do I see for you, dear Virgo? A swing. It's about making decisions. The swing is swinging back and forth, but there's nobody on the swing. And it's like there's real hesitancy here to even have to make the decision about which way to go. So you will get on that swing eventually, but the swing is swinging back and forward, which is like being in two minds about something. Even if you're not an active participant, the time will come when this will keep coming up, because what Spirit does is they nag you. If you don't do what you're supposed to do for your life mission, they will nag. That's my experience anyway. The card that comes up, the Six of Pentacles, some decisions to be made about your finances. This is deciding who you're going to pay, how you're going to pay them, and it's getting organised with your money on an everyday sort of level. You do have, in your house of everyday life, you do have the Sun and Pluto going in there. I'll talk about that more. And you have a little bit going on in your personal finances and your joint resources. So we'll get to that. People could ask you for money. Maybe somebody wants a loan, maybe kids, or somebody, an ex comes back and wants a loan. If you're going to give out any loans, I suggest you get some sort of written agreement, because you may not get your money back. But basically getting organised with your money. So that's good news. Let's go to your horoscope now, like that. First thing to note is this T squared here, which I normally wouldn't mention because it involves the moon. The moon moves very, very quickly. It's only in each house, each area of life, for 2.5 to 3.5 days. So this is literally for hours, maybe a day, the 1st of January, okay? But I mention it because it is the 1st of January. It's the first day of the month and the first day of the year, okay? So I always think that January is a template, and also that the first day is a template for the year, that there's little clues for your whole entire year in the first day. So we have the moon here in your sign, and it's opposite Neptune in Pisces in your house of relationships. So there's a very spiritual vibe in your important committed relationships, but sometimes you might be seeing them through rose-coloured glasses. There might be some level of sacrifice on your part regarding these relationships, and these two are opposite each other, so that brings a very strong challenge. However, they're both funneling their energy towards Mercury in your house of home and family, which suggests that there's going to be some communications on or around the 1st of January about your need for autonomy and independence versus compromises in relationship, or the needs of the relationship versus what you need to do for yourself. So this is a bit of a theme for the whole of the year for everybody, particularly for the cardinal signs, though Aries, Cancer, Libra and Capricorn more so than you, but because you've got this little thing happening on the very first day of the year, I mention it. New moon is in Capricorn on the 11th here, bringing new beginnings to your creativity, also to romance, or to having fun, going out, fun in the sun, leisure and pleasure, and all that sort of thing. So nice new starts there. The full moon is in Leo on the 25th, shaking up what's going on in your subconscious, the house of the subconscious. You could have very strong dreams at that time. Always pull the curtains, because the moon, the vibes come through the curtains, I find. Literally wake me up. Yeah, so here in Queensland, there's so much light in the summer, it's ridiculous, but the moons The full moons can disrupt your sleep, so yeah, do try to pull the curtain and make your room dark. Then we have, I mentioned Mercury going direct already. This is fabulous, a brand new surge of energy forward with your ruler on the first day of the month and the year added to this T-square. So there's a fair bit going on. Maybe on the first, it is a public holiday in Australia, and I guess in most countries, it's probably not a good day to take on anything extra though. You probably should try and relax if you possibly can. Not everybody can. Mars goes into Capricorn on the 4th here, bringing a surge of energy, and there's a ton going on in this 5th house. So much energy here. Venus will be in there on the 23rd as well. Mercury, your ruler, will be there on the 13th. And all of this energy here is really going to give you a lot of drive and ambition to create, to entertain perhaps, to go out, to have fun, and live generally closer to the world of the child. You could be having more to do with actual physical children. If not, it's your own inner child, and maybe the relationships you have with other people, their inner child also comes out. So that is good news if everybody's inner children are coming out to play. It's not so good if they're coming out to argue, though. But given everything else, it's probably more to do with play and having fun and leisure and pleasure, especially with Venus. You've got Mars there, which can be aggressive. But Venus, when Venus comes on the 23rd, it is more about smoothing things over, making it pleasant, making it lovely, and just generally having a really good time. So I think that's more likely. On the 20th, both the Sun and Pluto go into Aquarius here in your everyday life, also your work and your health. There's a lot of insight, stability, even comfort. So if you haven't been well, you might get a bit of a boost with the Sun coming in here. Pluto's going to restructure these areas of your life from the 20th of January through to the 1st of September in 2024, and then again from the 19th of November through to March 2043. So that's like 20 years, nearly, very nearly. And this is going to fundamentally change your everyday life. It's like it's going to be rebuilt from the ground level up. So sometimes if you have a house, you have to demolish in order to rebuild. So there could be some issues in your normal everyday life that finish. Some situations finish. Say you have a job, but you're not 100% happy there. You might find something happens with that job, and it's to get you to go into another area or another job, because that current job is not ideal for you. You might be there just for the money, but that's really not sufficient reason to be at a job. Really, these days we need to be aiming higher than doing it just for money. That's the problem with the world. A lot of people seem to do anything just for money, and it's like they're making money the god, when really it's between yourself and your relationship with spirit and what your life mission actually is. I feel a bit excited for you though, I must say, because this is going to really transform your life. It's also your health too, this just comes into my mind. If you have issues, especially around weight, that there might be something that comes, that's a new treatment or something like that, so that you can actually get control of your physical weight. That's not indicated by these two planets, the Sun and Pluto, but that's just something I get psychically, and it's not for everybody, just a few people. Uranus is turning direct on the 27th up here. There could be surprising things happen with you and other countries or people from other countries. Unpredictable, sort of volatile things sometimes, but it could also involve your spirituality and education. You might decide you want to re-educate yourself in some way. You may become more interested in philosophy and big picture items or concepts, because this is the house of the higher mind, and you do have Jupiter there wanting to increase all of your experiences to make your life much bigger, and some of them will be quite surprising, and they could even be positive. You've also got your MC there, and this is about your life mission and your career. So more to do with other countries, most probably, and spirituality and travel. So that's it for you, Virgo. I hope this all makes sense to you. There's those two cards too. Don't forget they have some sort of interaction in your life. Thanks so much for listening. Don't forget, check out your moon and rising sign as well. I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now. Hello, lovely Libra. I've got your horoscope here, but firstly, let's draw two cards as theme cards for the year for you. Let's go to the board now. We'll come to your horoscope directly, but these two tarot cards, I'm closing my eyes now for the first half of the year as you close the door on something. Let's get a bit more specific. At the bottom of the door is a parchment that is rolled up. Previous messages that you had received. I see your glyph, and it's the Libra glyph, and my mind is drawn to the cross on the bottom of the glyph. So Libra, you'll see here, there's your glyph and the cross at the bottom, the sacrifices you make in relationships. We've got a vertical line going down, and then we've got a horizontal line going across. The horizontal line cuts the energy of bringing heaven down to earth. Other things get in the way, and then you have some sort of sacrifice that you must make. So the two cards that fell out relate to your money, both relating to your money, getting organised. The Six of Pentacles here, paying your bills, taking care of finances, taking care of business, and here you are giving money out to and weighing things up and sorting it all out. You may have somebody ask you for a loan. It may be that you help somebody out with money. There may be some sort of sacrifice in that. The Knight of Pentacles is a bit different though, and it's more about experimentation with money, or perhaps maybe looking at your money and thinking what unusual things can you do with your money that you wouldn't normally do. This is typically somebody who is younger. They've got a whole lot of potential, and they're looking at the rest of their life and what are they going to do with their money and their possessions in regard to other things that they want to do. Sometimes this means a change in residence as well, or taking some sort of risk, exploring issues to do with money and taking some sort of risk. Just don't make it too risky an adventure. Be careful with any new investments that you might make. So that's the first half of the month, and the second half of the month, what do I see? Oh, cards going everywhere. So there's too many, I'm not going to read that many, so we're just going with the Wheel of Fortune. Everything changes, nothing stays the same. This is a major arcana card. It's like you have to learn to go with the flow. Lucky for you, you are in an air sign, so you can do that. It's not like you're stuck in the mud. You can change your mind on a dime if you need to. You don't generally change your mind because you generally look at everything and weigh it up very carefully before making a decision. But if something happens, you probably have a plan B, C and D anyway, and so you've already thought about it. So it may not be any great shock. I won't read these all, but just to get a vibe, swords, wands, swords. Lots of thinking and motivation, working with people, moving away from a difficult situation, bit of experimentation. I'm not reading them as such, it's too much. Just know that there's some big changes coming up in January. It could involve your money, certainly involves your thinking. Let's make this a bit bigger. Zoom board like that. First thing to note, we've got this T-square. Normally I wouldn't mention this because it's involving the moon, and the moon only stays 2.5 to 3.5 days in every house. But because it is the 1st of January, it's the beginning of 2024 and the beginning of January. So I'm mentioning it. It's opposite Neptune, which is very spiritual in your normal everyday life, but there's some sort of conflict or challenge. The moon's bringing things out of your subconscious, and that's maybe hard in your normal everyday life to deal with, when especially you've already got Neptune there. Neptune, as I said, very spiritual, but again, there might be some need for compromise or sacrifice with Neptune. So that's two things now we've got with sacrifice. This vision here relating to the first half of the month with the glyph and the cross at the bottom. And again, we've got a cross at the bottom here, and Neptune is actually associated with sacrifice. It could be not just sacrificing money, it could be sacrificing your time, your energy, any number of things. It could be to do with your work, or just something that you come across in your normal everyday life. But these two planets, the moon and Neptune, are funneling their energy into Mercury here. It could be something to do with your local community, study, maybe distant relatives or siblings or cousins. Maybe they live away and there's some sort of issue going on there. A T-square does present some sort of challenge or tension, but you can work through it with a T-square generally, because you've got an opposition there and two squares. The squares don't tend to be as difficult as the opposition. This is probably only going to happen for hours or maybe the first day, and it will dissolve. The moon will move and that will all dissolve. So it's nothing to worry about too much. I always do think the first of anything is like a template for the rest of the time. So first of the month, there's something there for the rest of the month, and first day of the year, there's something there for the rest of the year. So just be aware of that. Mercury turning direct on the 1st of January, that's a good omen, because that's basically saying there's clear communications and brilliant ideas that are going to come through, and that will be a theme throughout the year perhaps. Mars, Mercury and Venus are all going into Capricorn here, which is your house and family, and so they're having a party here basically. So there could be a lot of activity around your home. You might be entertaining, bringing in people who are quite close to you. They become more like family, bringing close friends to your home and that sort of thing. Mars goes into Capricorn on the 4th, Mercury goes into Capricorn on the 13th, Venus goes in on the 23rd. Venus will offset any forcefulness or aggression on the part of Mars with beautiful, polite, courteous conversations, and generally smooths the energy. And you've got the masculine and the masculine energy and the feminine energy. But while I'm saying that, I'm getting lots of activity for many people. There's some sort of renovation or gardening, landscaping, terraforming, some sort of like physical changes going on around your home, put it that way. Then we have on the 20th, the Sun and Pluto go into Aquarius here in your 5th house. This is all about socializing and having fun. As I said, you may invite people to your home and there might be a lot more leisure and pleasure going on than there has been for a while. You might have been under the pump recently, and all of the carry on with Christmas and the New Year. Once that's all over, you'll have some fun and socialise. Pluto's also going into this 5th house of creativity and leisure, and it will firstly go in on the 20th until the 1st of September 2024. Then it goes back into Capricorn, and then on the 19th of November it's back here again in your house of fun and leisure, and it will be there until March 2043, so nearly 20 years. That's a long time. Your leisure and pleasure zone is going to be fundamentally rebuilt. This could go back to your childhood. You may have a lot more to do with children, or alternatively, and probably more likely, is that you'll have a lot more to do with your own inner child and maybe the inner children of other people as well. And anything that happened in your childhood that you haven't yet dealt with is probably going to be shown to you. And that may mean some sort of occurrence, event in the outside world where people are behaving like children. I'm seeing more and more of it, actually. The more I look, the more I see. And you'll think, oh, that person's such a 2-year-old or whatever. The terrible twos, we're going to see a lot of that in public life. It has been over some years. We see that with our politicians behaving like children. And that will be the case more and more. And even in Australia, that is happening here. We used to have sensible politicians at one stage. Even if you didn't agree with them, you didn't see the carry-on that you do now. And so we will see more childlike antics in the public life. So you'll be dealing with people like this in some way. And it's basically so you can restructure, and things that happen, yes, they did happen, you can't deny that they happened, but what you're going to do now is you're going to rebuild yourself like the bionic woman or the bionic man. We can rebuild him. Remember that, Lee Majors? We can rebuild him, and you can be rebuilt as well. So you'll actually be stronger and better as a result of the things that happen to you. Injuries, I want to say, the injuries that happen to you in your childhood. So I feel a bit excited, which is just as well because I'm a Libran too, so this applies to me. Now, the next thing to note is that Uranus is turning direct. Many people won't feel this. It's a planet of unpredictability. It's quite volatile. It's got a very eccentric orbit, a very elliptical orbit, so it's hard to predict what it's going to do, and it moves forward. But if you are psychic or sensitive, you may get the sense of something's changed. That will be on the 27th of January, and it could bring some surprises to the background of your life, or even if you've got other elements in your chart, they may come to the forefront of your life. They're not always negative. They can be like bolts of lightning out of the blue, but sometimes it's something crazy and you just look at that and think, wow, what are the chances or the probabilities of that happening? That's Uranus for you. It could even be something people win money, or even if they go through a terrible natural disaster, the insurance company comes through and they behave themselves and you get all this money, you get a new house. But I mean, it's a lot of stress. But things can still work out under Uranus. So don't be afraid and think because it's going forward here in your investment zone. It's also your shared resources or the real estate that you share with other people, such as the bank. You might find interest rates do ridiculous things. They're talking about interest rates going down in 2024 instead of up. That would be surprising, and that's the kind of thing that happens with Uranus. All right, so, and also this house looks after intimacy, the energy that you share with another person. So if you don't have the level of intimacy in your life, you might find that something happens and you meet somebody who is very special to you, and then that intimate life starts up again, and that might be surprising to you. It's never too old, regardless of however old you are. That's it, lovely Libra. Thank you so much. Don't forget, check out your moon and ascendant, your rising sign as well. Have a fabulous January, everyone. I'll see you all again soon. Thanks and bye for now. Hello, sensational Scorpio. Well, I've got your horoscope here, but firstly, what we're going to do, obviously, is draw the 2 tarot cards that we normally do. Let's go to the board now. And you'll see here, there are no major aspect patterns, but there's a lot happening down the bottom of your chart. Sorry. And so this is saying basically that your personal life becomes more important to you rather than your external life up here above the horizon. So it's all about what's going on within and close to you. Let's draw these 2 cards. Firstly, closing my eyes, I see the pitchfork like the Neptunian pitchfork. So here's Neptune here. in your 5th house of creativity and romance. This is going to be quite an important placement this month. And it is opposite the moon. The moon's here at 10 degrees 43. It's not really quite, it's 15 degrees, it's too far out. But the moon does travel very quickly, so at some point it will be opposite, and when it gets to 25 degrees, it'll be opposite, so that'll be in the next day, or probably the 2nd of January. And there could be some sort of subconscious thing coming up, or maybe a spiritual thing coming up between you and a friend, or you and another connection, or maybe in a group. So just watch for that. Sometimes it can indicate a lack of boundaries. You might say something comes up out of your subconscious, comes out your mouth before you have a chance to catch it. I know about that very well. So just be careful 2nd of January with that. So we'll get to these cards yet, and so I'm on a sailing ship. It is definitely about the subconscious because of all the ocean. It's very vigorous, the water, and you're cracking along at a very fast clip. However, it's sort of invigorating. It's not scary or anything like that. It's not dangerous. If you're careful, it's not dangerous. But there's a lot of energy coming from the subconscious. You have to be cautious because you could overdo things at the beginning of January, especially the first half of January, and exhaustion could be the result. So you really have to slow down. Maybe there's a lot of socialising. You have got Saturn there, so it's been restrictive in terms of you socialising and having fun. Maybe there's been things going on in the home where people are coming and going, and so there is some sort of socialising, but you can't really enjoy yourself because you've got too much to do. Saturn is limiting you having fun, basically. So just be cautious, very cautious you don't overdo things, do too much in the first half of January. Second half of January for you, dear Scorpio, what do I see? Oh my gosh, what? It's like the moon. It's a crescent moon, but it's a lemon. So a lemon, a slice of lemon. Yeah, it could be a little bit if you eat lemons. They tend to be sour. Some people eat them with salt for fun. I don't know why. So it could be leave a bitter taste in your mouth if you're not careful at the beginning of the month. What might happen is you get tired and you say something you don't mean. So please take time out and look after yourself instead of looking after hordes of people that may come around. Let's see what card we get. Hopes and dreams, the 9 of Cups. Send out your desires to the universe. They hear everything you say, everything you think, and generally the energy that you put out there. So if you're putting out exhausted energy, that's probably not going to help you get what you want in life. It's important to be practical, keep your feet on the ground, to take appropriate action, but be in touch with your subconscious. And you are, as a Scorpio, you're very sort of deep sign, very much in touch with the water, a watery sign, and your emotions as well. So this is about your hopes and dreams. You might change them in some way, reformat your hopes and dreams, and become a little bit more practical about them. But of course, I keep coming back to this because I know, especially people like that are, say, mothers, for example, always tending to the needs of others. And it's just really driving home to me. I've done this for the 1st of January, and it is a template for the rest of the year, basically. So you don't want to start the rest of the year with this vibe. And of course it can be avoided just with a few common sense, simple things like taking time out in the morning, get up, go for a walk away from everybody so that you don't have to deal with everything straight up, and gradually ease yourself into whatever might be happening with other people. I see a big key around that, so that's saying to me that that is key importance. All right, now I'm just going to make this a bit bigger, like that. Bear these cards in mind. A lot happening here on the western side of your chart, suggesting things are coming to a natural closure about something, whereas this is the eastern side. These are new beginnings, new births, and there's a great big huge lot of energy that was there on the east and now is making its way around the chart. But we're having a party in your third house of communications in January. Lots of energy going on. You may hear from people that you haven't heard from for ages, or distant relatives, or maybe even siblings or cousins that you don't get on with. There could be some thawing of the ice there. So new moon in Capricorn on the 11th here. Also in Capricorn there's a lot. We've got Mars going in on the 4th. We've got Mercury going in on the 13th. We've got Venus going in on the 23rd. Woohoo! And Pluto moving out on the 20th. I'll talk about that in a moment. With all of this energy, there is bound to be heaps of communications, heaps of transactions. You could be shopping a lot still, even in January, even though Christmas is over. There is a movement in Australia. A lot of people, they tend to shop after Christmas with the January sales. I don't know if that's the case in other countries, but there does look to be a lot of transactions involving money as well. Then the other things this house can relate to is also promotion and marketing. If you're in business, you may have had your break, your holiday break, and now you come back to work and you're more interested in promoting and marketing the business. It's also learning, maybe not formal courses, but learning new techniques, new processes and things like that to do with your normal everyday life. It's not necessarily learning for work, it can be, but not necessarily. It could be more just learning things for your own natural self, or things around the house and whatever. Things come up all the time and I think, oh, I didn't know that, and it's something to do with the house. And we're having a lot of terrible storms here on the Gold Coast, and we haven't had power for 3 days, but electrical power for 3 days. But we do have a generator, so we're running that. That's how I'm doing this video for you. And there's lots of things about that I don't know and I need to learn. So yeah, go for all the learning you can. Now, with regard to the Sun and Pluto going into Aquarius, here in your house of home and family, with the Sun, there's a sense of insight and awareness, happiness even. You could be really happy having your family around you, and a sense of stability. And the 4th house is often about roots, ancestral roots even, and you might have a sense of your family over time going back generations. With Pluto going in here on the 20th, it will be here until the 1st of September. Then it will go back into Capricorn until the 19th of November, and then it will come back here to home and family until March 2043, which is almost 20 years. Pluto is all about restructuring whatever it is, wherever it is. So it's here in home and family, so this is what's going to be restructured. Sometimes new people could come into your family over that time. Even if you don't have children, you might meet other people that are casual acquaintances that become friends, who then become closer and closer, and they become like family. Also, because it is like this sense of roots is associated with it going back, you might restructure your own family tree going back over time. You might become aware that there's a pattern in your family that needs to be restructured. For example, it could be about women becoming more independent, and as you look back over your family tree, you see that women have been more submissive, and now you're determined that that's not going to be you. So you're going to change your life and heal your family tree, in fact, through your actions, because we all know that spirit exists outside time and space. So even though these things may have happened hundreds of years ago, we can still heal the family tree now and make it easier for our relatives that are on the other side. So that's a bit exciting, isn't it? The other thing to note is that Uranus is going direct, and I forgot to put the arrow. Uranus is going direct on the 27th of January in your house of committed relationships and important partnerships. So there could be some sense of the surprising happening, or some sense of something that is unpredictable in your relationships, or also to do with any legalities you might have, and frenemies or open enemies. You don't get on with them, but that's how it is, and they're there in your life in some fashion. But with Uranus, it really throws the cat among the pigeons. So we don't know what's going to happen. Doesn't mean it's negative. It can be positive, because it could cause a great big kerfuffle that gives a positive result. So if there's been a wall of ice between you and another person, it could melt, for example, and somebody might offer an olive branch. Anything is possible with Uranus, which has a very elliptical orbit. So in ancient times, they couldn't even see that far. They really could only see as far as Saturn. So Uranus is a relative newcomer. But this unpredictable nature of the orbit has really only become known in more recent times. So that's it for your horoscope. Oh, and the full moon, I didn't get to mention, it's up here in Leo in your house of career. So there's a real spotlight being shone on your career, your public life, your social media, your reputation status, and your interactions with authority figures. So authority figures could be like your boss, but it can also be like somebody like a parent, particularly your mother. Traditionally, this is the house of the mother. And so this focus, it could be a bit of a shake-up, and then you have to look at this relationship, and it may need healing, which you will be able to do with your many skills and talents, and just the energy of bringing your awareness to the situation could be healing in itself. So thank you so much for listening. Don't forget, check out your moon and rising sign as well. Have a wonderful January. It's very exciting, actually, even though sometimes people get a bit nervous, and I understand why, with Pluto, but it does mean fixing up all of the old structures that need to be fixed. So I do feel rather sort of excited, even though we might not necessarily know how these things occur, but they do occur. All right, have a great month, everyone. I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Hello and welcome, Savvy Sagittarius. I've got your 2024 horoscope here, but first we're going to draw 2 tarot cards as theme cards for the month for you. A fair bit happening this month, a new year. Happy New Year. All right, let's go to the board now. We'll come back to this in a moment. But the cards, that's what we're doing. So I'll close my eyes for the first card of the month, for the first half of the month. Lots of paperwork here in front of me I can see in spirit. Something about taking out the garbage. So you probably have to sort through a few things in your life. Yes, it could be actual physical trash or garbage. Sorry, coughing here. Actual physical stuff, but it definitely means sorting through the psychological trash that we all accumulate, and some of the stuff might be recyclable, so you might be able to learn something. There's some plumbing here I see that needs fixing, and cutting off one pipe to join another pipe in, or another system in, or something like that. Joining of pipes is what I'm seeing. It could be actual, again, symbolically, it's about emotions and letting your emotions flow, but sometimes they get stuck, and then you might have to intervene with some sort of practice or meditation to get your emotions going again, because if you've had a shock or something negative happen, then all those emotional messages can get blocked up. The card that comes out for you is the Eight of Wands. It's about brilliant ideas this first half of the month anyway, Savvy Sag, and they're like firing in really quick succession. So unblock those emotions and you're going to get some brilliant ideas. Write them all down because they could be so quick. They're flowing so fast that you'll miss a few if you don't record them, perhaps. The second half of the month, what do I see for you, Savvy Sag? I was looking at a flight of stairs thinking I was going to go up the stairs, but then next thing I'm going down the stairs. There's still some interaction with this card here. The woman on the broomstick is what I'm seeing. So fly through the night sky of your mind. So maybe while you're asleep, you might get some brilliant ideas. It's important to listen to your intuition in the second half of the month particularly. Something about coins, which suggests change, but also your money. A bucket of coins, a bucket of change. And again, it's a bucket from the well, like a water well. Again, it's to do with your emotions. Your emotions are going to bring a lot of change this month. They're like fuel, you see, and they're probably going to fuel some important decision down the track. The card that comes up is the Hermit. You need plenty of time out to consider these matters. People might be well-meaning in trying to advise you, and it's important to listen to any well-meaning advice, but not necessarily to take it on board, because at bottom line, it's your life and only you can make the decision. So these decisions have to be made solely on your shoulders. You're the only one that can really decide at the end of the day. There's some sort of challenge around it because both the person and the wolf dog are on top of the mountain, which suggests challenge. But a wolf dog means basically learning, and it could down the track mean teaching in some way. You are the light of the world. You cast the light, and that is the light of your awareness. So when you take something into your mind and you ponder over it, insight and awareness eventually comes. That is the light of the world. It's a major arcana card. It's suggesting that you need time out for some considerable period, not just January. All right, there's your horoscope. Just going to make that bigger like that. It's terribly hot here at the Gold Coast. We just got our power back today, 4 days, yay. We had a generator, but it was drinking fuel, so 30 litres a day it was drinking, so it's great to get the electricity back on. But there's still lots of people that don't have electricity, so please keep them in your thoughts. We've had terrible, they say severe storms, but honestly I've been through 2 cyclones before and it was more cyclonic than just a storm. Americans would say hurricanes is the word you would use. Other people are using the term tornadoes. I don't know if we have tornadoes in Australia. Anyway, so we're having a heat wave now because it's always fun to have a cyclone and a heat wave together. Only in Australia. Here's your horoscope. Let's check it out. All right, you don't have a T-square aspect pattern as some of the signs do, so that's good. We have a new moon here in your house of personal finances, bringing a new beginning around the way you think about money, around the way you think about your possessions, and the things that you value, the things that you really think are important in your life. It might change because of this new moon. You can see there's a fair bit of energy going into your personal finances this month. We'll talk more about that in a moment. The full moon is almost opposite. It's actually in the 9th house, shining a light on the need for you to expand your life. Now, in this case of expansion, often we need to have some time out to really consider expansion of our lives, because it's just so important to really sit and think about what we're doing before we actually do it, especially if it's a life-changing decision that you might be making. So the next thing is Mercury is going direct on the 1st of January. This augurs very well for the new year and the year in full, really. It's about Mercury direct is about communications and transactions and activity and lots of mental energy and thinking about things and getting things done. So that's a good way to start the year. and Mars is going into Capricorn, Mercury will be going into Capricorn, Venus will be going into Capricorn, so that's Mars on the 4th, Mercury on the 13th, and Venus on the 23rd, all here to do with your personal finances. So this brings a ton of energy around money, and with the new beginnings, it suggests that you might think of new ways to make money. Maybe there's a change in job. You do have Uranus moving forward from the 23rd, and I've put Capricorn there. It's not, it's actually Taurus, so that's incorrect, I'm sorry. No, that's right, there. So that's on the 27th. So with Uranus in your house of everyday work, some big surprises might happen. You've also got Jupiter there as well, expanding your work. So that might have something to do with the money scenario here. Then we have the Sun and Pluto on the 20th, and they're going into Aquarius here. Again, bringing a lot of insight and awareness and transformation to your communications. Maybe there's a lot of learning going on, hence this card here with the wolf dog I mentioned before. Pluto is about fundamental transformation and restructuring at the absolute basic level of your life. So sometimes with Pluto, things might disappear or end, and then they come back again in a new form. So it could be birth, death, and rebirth. And you might find that could happen with relationships to do with distant family members, particularly siblings or even cousins. This house is also the house of community and your local area. So there could be some fundamental changes in your local area going on as well. With Pluto, it will be here from the 20th of January until the 1st of September, and then again from the 19th of November through to March 2043, nearly 20 years. So there's bound to be some things that are certainly changing in your local area in that period of time. But from January to September, if you pay attention, you might get the vibe and get the feeling of what those changes are going to be over the ensuing years. So with the Sun there, that's good news though, because that's really going to make you more insightful and more intuitive. There's also a sense of stability and comfort around it. So any changes in your local area might actually be beneficial for you. For example, it's quite possible you might get a vibe, for example, that your area is going to be rezoned. If you own your own property there, that could mean that property values go up or something like that. Uranus direct I mentioned here, along with Jupiter, enlarging your everyday life, your habits and your routines, but also your work and your health. You might be feeling more vital than usual. Uranus is a strange one because it's unpredictable, basically. People think it's negative, but it doesn't have to be negative. Sometimes it can be quite positive. So there might be a lottery win or something. It doesn't generally happen, but it's not always negative. It just means unpredictable. It can be rather surprising, like a bolt out of the blue. It can be good luck. Who knows? You never know. With Uranus, it's got a very elliptical orbit, so that's why it's got this kind of reputation of being unpredictable. The other thing was Venus in Capricorn on the 23rd. Now Venus, she looks after finances as well, and Venus might be encouraging you to buy expensive, beautiful things. Just be a little bit cautious that you don't overspend, because Venus wants you to do that. And overspending is a real sort of red flag. On the positive side, if you invest in beautiful things that increase in value, like maybe, I don't know, jewellery, precious stones, gold or something like that, then you can get a benefit from Venus in this position. Alrighty, so that's it, everyone. Thank you so much, Savvy Sag. Have a wonderful new year. I'm sure you will. And I just want to wish everybody a wonderful 2024, in fact. And don't forget to read or watch your moon sign and your ascendant as well, your rising sign. Thanks very much. I'll see you all soon. Bye for now. Hello and welcome, courageous Capricorns. I've got your horoscope for January 2024, and there is so much happening. There are lots of planets going into your sign this month. Let's get on with it. Firstly, I'll draw 2 tarot cards as theme cards for you. So we'll go to the board right now and do that. There's your horoscope. Alrighty, so first card, first half of the month. I like to have a little vision first. Pair of scissors, cutting something out. So this is about you cutting something out in your life. You're going to cut maybe a bad habit, maybe a person off, maybe a situation, or it could be any number of things, but you're getting to work on it. I think you already have an idea of what it is that you're cutting back on. Might be something to do with how much time you spend with certain people or how much money you spend. Could be any number of things. The card that comes out is the King of Cups, so it's more likely that it's to do with an emotional current, that you're putting your emotions into something, and maybe is that the wise thing to do. The good news is the King of Cups is very wise and masterful around emotions, so this energy will clarify for you what you should be putting your emotions into. Some things you can't change, and what's the point of getting all upset about it if you can't change something? And I know I do it too. Sometimes I get upset about things and I've got no hope of changing them other than to pray about the situation. But this is somebody who is highly intuitive, very much in touch with their emotions. Could be a woman, but usually a woman post-menopause who's got a lot of experience of the world. And she knows that her emotions are emotions, and that's not the sum total of her. She has a brain, a mind, and a body to consider, as well as her spiritual journey. You'll see here the gold around the throat suggests that there's very wise words coming from this masculine energy. He's also seated on a shell, and the water in the background, the ocean, is all about the subconscious. So this is somebody in touch with his subconscious, very balanced individual that really pays attention to emotions. The sun here in the background, casting insight and awareness, bringing the light into the situation so he can make a good decision. A highly intuitive person. And if you don't know anyone like that, then find it in yourself. It will be in your DNA, on your family tree somewhere. And sometimes you have to go back, do a meditation for ancestral healing, and you might have to go back hundreds of years to find somebody who's suitable. So the next card, second half of the month, what is this? It's a glass ball of sorts with a picture frame inside it, and it's some sort of picture inside it. I'll ask for another one. I've got no clue what that is. Another vision. So, dear courageous Capricorn, we've got a travelator here going up into the sky. This is good news for you because you're increasing in consciousness without putting too much effort into it. So you can jump on a travelator and it will just take you wherever you need to go. So you don't even have to walk. You just need to step on. That initial step gets you going, and then there's no effort after that. The card, this is your life journey I'm talking about, by the way. Yeah, you could be down there at Melbourne Airport. They've got a stack of travelators down there because they're where you fly in. The gates are so far removed, it seems to me, that you need travelators when they seem so far away from how to get out of the airport. So the card that comes out for you in the second half, again, is about cups. This is really interesting for you, Capricorn, because you're not normally associated with being over emotional, but here we have the Queen of Cups and the King of Cups, the masculine and the feminine. This is about balancing your emotions. You'll notice they're both seated on the shoreline, but with the ocean in the background. They're both seated on shells. He's got a lot of the dark indigo blue, which is more about the third eye and clairvoyance. She's got green and aqua, which is more about the heart and the throat and the energy coming up and speaking her truth. These birds here are saying, look at the big picture, be in touch with your emotions and look at the big picture at the same time. So it's great to be in touch with your emotions and, of course, keep your feet on the ground and be practical too. So that's very, I don't remember that ever happening before, both the king and queen of the same suite coming up. So it's like, for you, an earth sign, emotions might seem, for some Capricorns, not all of course, but emotions might seem a little bit inferior to their ability to work hard and think. And that's not true at all, because it doesn't matter if you're earthy, fiery, airy or watery, all the different elements are equally valid. So let's make this a bit bigger and see where this goes, because here we have your horoscope for January. First thing to note is all of this activity going on here in the eastern side of your chart. East is about new beginnings. It's like when the sun comes up in the morning and it's a new day. So that's what January is like for you, a new day. The new moon is also here, adding extra energy to those new beginnings, because there's a big party going on in your sign. I'll talk about that. So new moon in Capricorn, full moon is in Leo, and that is getting you to look at your joint resources, whatever it is that you share with anybody else. So it could be you share it with the government or a government instrumentality, another person, a company. It could be like tax, superannuation. It could even be to do with inheritances or wills or those sorts of legalities, because this is, even though it's in Leo, it is traditionally associated with Scorpio. So it still relates to very deep things. Then we have on the 1st of January, this is good news for everybody, Mercury is turning direct. So it's great to start the new year on the first day of the new year and the first day of the first month. It's great to start with Mercury turning direct, which is all about communications, travel and transactions. Those areas of life should go more smoothly now. We have Mars in Capricorn on the 4th, Mercury in Capricorn on the 13th, and Venus in Capricorn on the 23rd. And I've put Capricorn there. That should be Taurus. So sorry. It's Uranus and Taurus. But you're still having a big party here anyway. With all of these houses in your sign, there is a ton of energy around the way that you approach the world, you get your message out in the world. This house is all about your personality, generally speaking. It's also about your physical appearance, your identity, and even your body. So you might be absolutely full of energy in January to get out and do stuff and achieve things. And this is about your perception of the world and how you are perceived in the world as well. So Mars brings a lot of energy. The sun's already there. That brings stability, safety, warmth, courage, which you'll relate to because you are normally courageous. Venus will be there later in the month there on the 23rd, and that will have a balancing effect against Mars, because Mars can sometimes be a little bit forceful or aggressive, but Venus likes to smooth everything over, to compromise, to be polite and courteous and considered in their speech. And in Librans and Taurus, for example, Taurians, they're very considered. They usually think before they speak. So this is bringing this ability to you, dear Capricorn, more so than usual, because you normally have that ability, but this will be strengthened. And it's going to be a really rock and roll and energetic month for you. Now, the next thing to note is that the Sun and Pluto on the same day, the 20th of January, will go into Aquarius here. And this is your house of personal finances, and it's going to be opposite your house of shared resources or joint assets or even intimacy, with the full moon there on the 25th. So there's going to be some sort of opposition at some point here, and this could really sort of be a bit of a challenge to deal with. The good thing is, though, that the moon travels very fast. It's only going to be any challenges that you may have on the 25th of the month are only going to last hours. So that's good news. The Sun brings insight and awareness and comfort and safety, stability. Pluto, that way out dwarf planet, or whatever you want to call it now, that has been demoted from planet, and now they're reconsidering, apparently, whoever makes up these decisions is reconsidering whether Pluto should be promoted to being a planet again. It's like, make up your mind. Anyway, Pluto will be here from 20th of January until the 1st of September. Then it pops back into your sign again for that last bit of transformation and restructuring. And then the 19th of November, it comes back into your finances, where it stays until March 2043. So there's going to be a lot going on with your personal finances. And this year, 2024, is going to be a bit more of a taster, an entree into what's coming in the following 20 years. Now, last year, 23, in the middle of the year, Pluto gave us a 3-month sort of taster. I must confess, I didn't really feel very much about it at that time. So it'll be interesting to see from January to September this year whether I can sense any sort of fundamental change. And the thing about Pluto, what it often does is it is a destroyer. It'll end a situation and then it will rebirth that situation in a new form. So it's like birth, death and rebirth. That all comes under the auspices of Pluto. So you might find something comes back from the past, something that you already thought had died off, and it comes back in a new form, and it's to do with your money, your possessions, or perhaps the things that you value. You might find that money doesn't hold the appeal that it used to hold for you, and now you appreciate things like kindness, honesty, integrity. They might have more appeal. For example, the things you value change under Pluto especially. Alrighty, and then the next thing to consider is Uranus in Taurus here moves forward on the 27th, bringing surprising energies and unpredictable energies to your creativity, romance if you're interested in romance, or to do with children and the world of the child. So that's your inner child. With Uranus, it doesn't mean it's bad. Some people think it's bad. It can be, but not necessarily. Sometimes it's just surprising. It can be a pleasant surprise, but it'll be moving forward again. All right, so that's it, courageous Capricorns. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you're doing well. Just want to wish you a very happy 2024 with a lot of insight, because there's heaps happening this year. And don't forget, check out your moon and rising sign as well. Thanks again. I'll see you all soon. Bye for now. Hello and welcome, awesome Aquarius. Let's rock and roll now with your horoscope. There's some big things happening for you in January. Let's go to the board. First, we're going to draw the 2 tarot cards as theme cards for you. What do I see? It's interesting. You've got a T-square here to start the month, the first day of the month. And I actually see that, but this is the base, so it's rotated 90 degrees. So it's sitting on its base and it looks like a pyramid. That's what I'm seeing. The ancient Egyptians and the pyramids, they were very much involved with their spiritual life, And if you have a look here, you'll see that you're having a big party in January in your spiritual life. So it's all about what is happening in your subconscious. And happy birthday too to all the early Aquarians will be coming in January, and the rest in February, of course. Let's see what card we get. It's about your money. So much is coming up about money for many of the star signs. This indicates there may be a little bit of difficulty here because of these sheer cliff faces. So you can't necessarily go the way you want. However, if you are experiencing any money difficulties, there is a way out of this, because there's a convoluted path between these sheer cliff faces, these rocks, and you can very slowly, but you can walk your way out of there. So it might be a case of head down, working more, getting extra shifts, for example, if you can, or finding alternative means of making money. But it should work out in the end, because you'll find a way. Basically, that's what's saying. Money is a focus, and if you're having difficulty, there is a way out. The second half of the month, and they won't let me move on because there's something else here. It's the first half of the month. It's about juggling finances and deciding what you're going to pay and what you're not going to pay immediately. Second half of the month. Can I move on now? What is this? Springs. You'll bounce back. They're saying I can see springs, bouncy springs. So yeah, you'll bounce back. So don't get disheartened about it, because it's only short term if there's any financial difficulty. The card that comes up is about your money. The Two of Pentacles doesn't indicate one way or the other which way it's going to go. However, I always feel optimistic because it's green, and green is about growth. So there's some sort of development around your money, whether you figure out a way to improve your financial situation. But green means growth. There's no getting around that. There's some blue up here as well. So it's also something to do with communications. Now, interestingly, that's in your horoscope, in that there is a pile of stuff going on here in your house of spirituality. But Mercury is moving direct on the 1st of January. So maybe when it was retrograde, things were more difficult last month in December. But when Mercury moves direct, communications and travel and things start flowing again. Activity, transactions flow better. So there's about a 7-day shadow period till the 7th, say. Different astrologers say different things, but yeah, I always think 7 to 10 days, but usually not 10 days. So around 7 days, and then you're in the clear. Now, the first thing to note is you do have a T-square here between Venus, Saturn, who is in your money supply house, bringing some sort of restriction or limitation in money. So it's Saturn in Pisces. Pisces is very free-flowing. Saturn is not free-flowing. And so Saturn isn't very comfortable in Pisces. And in your finances, it's probably not comfortable either, with Saturn limiting this. So Venus is also associated with money, and especially because she likes to buy expensive, luxurious, beautiful items. And she's here in your house of friends, groups and connections. So it might be something to do with going out and socialising. Perhaps it's time to cut back and stop spending money with your friends or going out or whatever. And then we have the moon over here, only for 2.5 to 3.5 days, and forming this pattern only for literally hours on the 1st of January. So bringing up subconscious things about joint resources, and that can include real estate, investments, money that you hold with another person or a company or even government agency. Maybe you're waiting on some sort of refund or some sort of money from a government agency or instrumentality, and it could be held up. But it's 1st of January, so you might just be having thoughts and emotions about it. Nobody's open on the 1st of January anyway because it's a holiday. generally in most countries, not all countries, but most countries. So just be aware that there's a big focus beginning of the month on your money that is bringing some challenges, as indicated by the tarot cards anyway. All right, now we got over that. We talked about Mercury going direct and the shadow period. Now Mars, Mercury and Venus are all in Capricorn. Sorry, it's so hot here, it's hard to think. And this is in Taurus, not Capricorn, in my absolute best handwriting. So here it's in Taurus. And anyway, so this brings, in Capricorn, this brings a really physical manifestation of the energies of these planets. So we have Mars bringing a lot of energy. We have, and it's not happy there in your house of the subconscious. In fact, it can come out as irritability or impatience, but there's no getting around it. You have to try and grow patience in yourself. Now Harry's here, Prince Harry, that those of you who follow me, you will know him. And yes, I know. He wants to go out, but there's so many snakes here at the moment, it's crazy, so he can't go outside. Then we have Mercury going into Capricorn on the 13th and Venus going into Capricorn on the 21st of January. Come on, Harry, people want to see their horoscope. Thank you. And so this is a real party. So it's a great time to be watching your dreams, to meditate, watching for those little flashes that you receive in the daytime, because there's bound to be a lot of information coming through if you're sensitive enough to pick it up. Now also on the 20th we have the Sun and Pluto going into your sign, which is going to bring a lot of transformation in your spiritual life, in your relationship with the world, the way you approach the world, the way you're perceived in the world, and also to do with your identity, your appearance, and getting your message out into the world. So the Sun brings a lot of insight, and there it is there, a lot of insight and awareness, stability and even happiness. And also Pluto's going to bring a fundamental restructure around your identity. Now Pluto goes in here on the 20th of January until the 1st of September, and this is going to be a real taster of what's to come. We did have a 3-month taster last year. To be quite honest, I didn't feel it. I couldn't really pick it up or make a comment about Pluto going into Aquarius in 2023, but over this extended period of time you might get more of an idea of what it's going to mean from November 19 until March 2043, which is nearly 20 years. So you're really going to find your personality is going to blossom. You're going to be more at home in dealing with the world and being here, which is well done you, it's a hard job. And you're really going to be able to get your message out there. People might have encouraged you in the past to do this, but for some reason you didn't feel it was right, or it just wasn't working for you. You may have tried to get your message out, but it just didn't work. But with Pluto here, it does a fundamental restructure. And so sometimes it ends something, and so you could be feeling quite foggy in the brain for a while while the restructure's going on. And so there's like an ending, and then there's a birth, and well, I got that got that mixed up. There's a birth, then there's an ending, and then there's a rebirth, is what I'm trying to say. And it's going to be magical. So that's going to be absolutely huge for you, Aquarius, Pluto in your sign. The other thing to note is that Uranus is turning direct on the 27th. It could be rather surprising things happening around your home and family. It might be things that you didn't plan for, and yet it could be really very positive. Uranus doesn't always mean it's negative. It's something out of the blue that happens. Maybe you get new neighbours, for example, and they end up being your best friends or something. It can be really good. You've also got Jupiter there, and this increases your family in some way. So again, if you become really close to your neighbours, you might find that they become like family members to you. So the long and the short of it is try not to worry too much about your finances, because there's going to be most likely some new ideas coming through about how you can improve, but there are huge changes coming up for you, awesome Aquarius, in 2024. Oh, and one thing I did miss is the full moon over here in Leo in your house of relationships, shining a spotlight on those significant, important relationships, and you might need to give them some extra attention, because people do need attention. The other thing is there could be something happening with a legal matter, or even with people you don't get on with. In astrology, was called open enemies. Today we're calling them frenemies. And we could find that there's some sort of interaction going on or energy going on there. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget your moon and rising sign as well. Check them out. Just want to wish you a very happy and insightful 2024. You're going to have so much insight coming through over this year, and for the next 20 years it'll be amazing for you. Thanks again. I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now. Hello and welcome, passionate Pisces. Well, let's get into your January 2024 horoscope. Firstly, we're going to draw 2 tarot cards as theme cards for the month for you. So let's go to the board. Here we go. All right, here's your horoscope. We'll be there directly. But the cards, the first card, the first half of the month, what do I see? Well, it's interesting because I nearly put in, I don't know if you can see that, I had to wide it out. I nearly put in a T-squared because I was trying to follow this, and then I realised, no, of course it's not a T-square here, because that's 22 degrees, and this is, so it's a really wide T-square, if you like, and so I just decided, no, it's not really appropriate. And involving the moon, it's only for a few hours on the first of the month anyway, so I took it out. But you know what, when I close my eyes I still see it there, so we'll just mention it. So just for a few hours on the first of the month, Mercury, Uranus and the moon having an interesting time together. Some sort of challenges around significant, important relationships. There's surprising communications involved, and again, communications, something to do with authority figures perhaps, or even your career or life direction or your vocation in life. It could be just something comes up, so don't worry too much about it. It's technically, it should be there, but practically the moon travels very fast, so it won't be there very long. We're talking hours. So the card that comes up for you is, so that suggests to me that there's a brilliant outcome. So maybe there's a bit of an intense conversation that yields really positive results. There's a lot of insight, awareness and security that comes from the sun. This is a major arcana card, so it suggests that you'll be radiating like the sun for a long time, and not just in the first half of January, but for some considerable time. All right, so then we're looking at the second half of January for you, passionate Pisces. Okay, what do I see? Pencils, drawing, taking notes. So messages coming through. It's like planning something out, strategizing. It's like a house plan I'm looking at. Now you could take that as an actual house plan, or another idea could be that it's your body because the body houses your spirit, you see. So it could be quite significant around your body, significant changes. Maybe you're going to change your diet, do a new exercise program, something like that. You know, improve your health in some way. The card that comes up is the Nine of Cups. It's all about your house desires. Did you hear that? All about your house desires. Heart's desires is what I was trying to say. But yeah, if you want a new house, that's fine, whether it's a physical house or your physical body. She's here on the shore, and this is saying be very practical and down to earth about this issue. Here's Prince Harry. He wants to go outside, but there are lots of snakes at the moment because we are having a heat wave, and we just had, I don't know, some people say a tornado. It was like a cyclone. It was so bad. Yes, hello Harry. Hello Harry Cat. So send your heart's desires out into the universe. Be practical about it and keep your feet on the ground. But the universe hears all, even wayward cats. Can we just put that on top of you? So I'll just hold that like that. So we have the sun, your heart's desires, like that. And let's go to your horoscope now. The first thing to note is that there's a lot of activity up here in your public life, in the public part of your chart. And you can see there's a real party going on there in your 11th house of friends, groups and associates. There's probably going to be a lot of socialising for you in January. The new moon is also there, bringing a new beginning, suggesting you may meet new people that'll probably be in alignment with your heart's desires. They'll probably reflect back to you some of your own hidden energy. The full moon is also over here in Leo, which is in your 6th house of everyday work, routine, also your health and well-being. See, that seems to be a theme that is coming up, health and well-being. And so this is shining a real spotlight, suggesting that you need to really pay attention to that, and you will. Oops, don't know what he's doing here. Then we have, on the 1st of January, we have Mercury turning direct, and this is a great omen for the beginning of 2024 because it's all about communications being clear-cut and there's less confusion in communications. It's also a great time for travel and just moving forward with life, generally speaking. There is a shadow period of approximately 7 days, and you may find that there's a little bit of confusion, but it is gradually getting less and less every single day. And then we have a big party going on there in Capricorn. So this is real and physical. There's physical manifestations here around the new people that you meet, the groups that you join, and also at your hopes and dreams. So there we had the hopes and dreams card, and we also had the sun card. So it's being reflected here again in your astrology. Your hopes and dreams come to the fore. There could be, with so much energy there could be some sort of update around hopes and dreams, and you might find that you revisit them and you change your mind about some things because the world can be so much more than what you originally were thinking of when you got your original hopes and dreams. So you could absolutely update those. So Mars is going in there, bringing a lot of energy on the 4th. Mercury will be going there on the 13th, and also Venus on the 23rd. Mars and Venus together, sort of, some people would say they cancel each other out. I wouldn't say that so much, but certainly Venus is has a softening effect on Mars because Mars can be a little bit forceful, whereas Venus is polite and courteous and wants to smooth everything over. So I like to think you get the best of both planets with that combo there. The other thing to note is that the Sun and Pluto are going into Aquarius on the 20th here, And this is going to bring a lot of insight and awareness around your dreams, your spirituality, those little flashes you have in the daytime. You could be feeling quite comfortable about this. Venus is actually going into Capricorn, not there. Venus is going in here. You get the drift. This is what happens when I try to rush, put things in the wrong house, but it's all right. We can see Pluto there as well. Now, Pluto will be there from the 20th of January until the 1st of September, restructuring everything at a really fundamental level deep down in your psyche. It will be there. Think of it as a taster, because in 2023, the middle of 2023, it was there for 3 months in Aquarius. But to be quite honest, I didn't really notice it myself. But it's going to be in Aquarius for a much longer time period now. So till September 1st, and then it slips back into Capricorn here. And then on November 19th, it's back into Aquarius in your 12th house again. And what this suggests is that you're going to have a rebirth of spirituality. Your spirituality is going to go to a really deep level. What will happen with Pluto, it will be there from the 19th of November to March 2043. So it's nearly 20 years. So over the next 20 years, 24 to 43, 19 and a half years, then you're going to see huge changes. If there's anything you wanted to do spiritually, it's like the groundwork's being put in right now. So maybe you want to channel, or maybe you're just starting off and you want to, say, be a psychic reader, or you want to improve your clairvoyance. This is like fundamental things going in now. So I would be working on that in 2024 to put those foundations in, because we've got 20 years of this, basically. So you can really fundamentally improve your spiritual life here, passionate Pisces. And the last thing I wanted to mention is Uranus here in Taurus going direct on the 27th. Most people wouldn't feel this. It might just feel like a background sort of energy as it starts to move forward again. Uranus often brings unpredictable things, surprising things, and this could be to do with your communications, marketing, promotion, maybe something to do with